So I welcome to the show Senator Roy Blunt. I wish I could be playing something other than doom and gloom, but it seems to fit with the fiscal cliff. Senator, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, Mark, and you're an alternative rock guy if there ever was one, so hopefully the concert will be great tonight. And, I've been a little gloomy at the last 2 years because the Senate's just not been getting its work done, and now that's kind of obvious to the whole country that we're not getting the things done that need to get done. But I'm hopeful that the Speaker of the House, who represents a different viewpoint than the President does, but he's still the Speaker of the House and the President is still the President, can work together to find a solution here. And I'm of the view that we ought to solve as many problems as we can while we're at it. Kicking the can down the road is how we got to the fiscal cliff. If that's not a backstop that works, I don't know what would be. So hopefully I've had a chance to talk to both. I haven't talked to the Speaker. A lot of his staff used to work for me, and I've talked to a lot of his staff. I didn't get a chance to talk to the President about this individually the other day.
You did?
And, I did. I said, what has to happen here is that you have to come up with a solution that not only John Boehner can be for, but half of the Republicans in the House at a minimum need to be for it, or the Speaker will not be a valuable partner in anything ever again, because you're going to minimize him with the people that have to put him in that job. And we have to go where the money is, Mark, and that means reforming these big spending programs in a way that they'll last, so that a lot of these people at the concert with you tonight will actually get Medicare and get Social Security. And, if you're over 55, you're going to get it, and it's going to be exactly what you were promised. But we can't maintain that level of spending for very much longer, and everybody knows it. You have to look at what you do so these programs will last, and that's where the money gets spent. 60% of every dollar that gets spent, 60 cents of it goes to the entitlement programs, and mostly that's Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
What about one of the threats from your majority leader, is not your leader, but the Senate majority leader, Harry Reid, is this nuclear option that's been talked about. So you guys even set up a website which is Stop the Nuclear Option. I don't know if it's stopthenuclearoption.com, but it talks about what could happen and why you think this is a bad idea.
Well, I do think it's a bad idea. And, Harry, there's some things Harry Reid could do right now with 51 votes. He could have passed a budget the last 3 years. The rules of the Senate are adequate to get the work done of the Senate. And every time we followed the rules in the last the 2 years I've been in the Senate, we passed legislation. If a bill came out of committee, if you opened it up for debate, just like the defense authorization bill last week, we've only passed really 5 bills in 2 years that were of any significance at all, and every one of them worked the way I think the Senate can still work, and that's by following the rules. We had 600 amendments offered on the Defense Authorization Act. 100 of them were incorporated into the final bill. It had a large bipartisan vote because the Senate got to change the work the way the Senate thought the work ought to be changed. Harry Reid's view is he brings a bill to the floor. It probably didn't come out of committee. It's never been debated. He won't allow any amendments, and you vote yes or no. And that's not the way the Senate should work. It's a bad way to change the system. And if you continue to let 60 members of the Senate have their voice heard on amendments and other things, the Senate is the place where you're not just responding to the last election, but to where the Constitution hoped that the country would look carefully at what it did before it changed course. And that's how the Senate's supposed to work.
When you spoke with the president, he does not seem to be willing to move at all on this notion that taxes have to go up on those making over $250,000 a year. So then, if that's the case, where's the common ground for a compromise?
Well, the compromise is what are you going to do on spending? The problem with the tax bills that I fought hard to get passed, and I was the principal vote counter in the House in both 2001 and 3. Those are good tax policies. Even the president says they're apparently great tax policies for 98% of all taxpayers, but we couldn't get the Senate to make them permanent. So the good news here is that for most of the tax policies of the last 10 years, everybody now, Democrats and Republicans, say they should become permanent. And the rates for the top 2%, it's a bad thing for the economy if you raise rates. I think that's not the right thing to do. I don't want to do it. And there are other ways to make the tax code flatter and fairer that would raise the same amount of revenue. And hopefully the president can find out how to do that. Now, the problem from my side of this fight is it's not an even fight, because if nothing happens, those top rates come back anyway, because we weren't able to make permanent tax law changes. Though, by the time you've had the same tax policies for 12 years in a democracy, it seems to me that you're talking about raising taxes in a way that hurts the economy. Something that would help the economy would say we're going to get our long-term spending on these permanent programs under control and send that message that would be a positive message if at the same time the president insists on this negative message of raising taxes. That's an important thing that he should think about adding to that negative message to the economy.
Do you think you're going to be back? I've had Congressman Shimkus and also Congresswoman Emerson, outgoing Congresswoman Emerson, tell me that they thought maybe they'd be back between Christmas and New Year's, that this thing won't be worked out. Is that your sense right now? Are you getting that feeling?
That can happen. I don't have a date in any betting pool on a day in the calendar, but I would think that we should get as many problems solved as we can before the end of the year. And if that means coming back after Christmas, we should come back after Christmas. My guess is that a pretty good deadline is the weekend before Christmas, the 23rd, and
that's getting closer.
Turning to the 24th,
It's quickly approaching. And by the way, you're back in Missouri today, aren't you?
I am. I'm excited I'd come to Missouri and be part of something happening instead of staying there one day and waiting for something happening. I'm on the way back to Washington in just a few minutes. But we named a new interstate highway today on the west side of the state, something I'd worked for 14 years in the House of Representatives. So from Kansas City to the Arkansas line now, there's a new interstate highway as of today. Meets all the interstate standards. It's called I-49 and gives us the same opportunity on the west side of the state that I-55 has given us in a helpful and good way on the east side of the state. So good for Missourians everywhere, particularly good for Missourians that live south of Kansas City and on the west half of our state.
That's awesome. Senator, always great to have you on. I appreciate it.
Hey, buddy. Good to talk to you. Hope to see you in person soon.
We'll do it. Senator Roy Blunt, we have to go out with our Fiscal Cliff theme song again. Back in a moment.